brushes. These are brushes. All these are brushes. Some are chalk paint brushes. Some are other brushes. And here I have bags of brushes. Paint brushes, that is. All kinds of paint brushes. More brushes. This one doesn't have a fan brush in it. That's the only downside. But they're still useful to paint. Chalk brushes, because remember my video about chalk paint, how I didn't think it was good paint? Well, I got chalk paint brushes to see if it maybe it was because of the brush. That'll go in our paint drawer, which is not this one. It's this one. Chalk paint brushes, brushes with fan brushes. I shut my hair in it and broke my hair. I have all this mess in the corner. Is that better? I don't know how many times I'm going to save this same sheet. I got to contact this place. I don't know why they gave me 2 copies. But Costello, stop. Social Security information. Oh, I sent them this and I need to keep this proof. Because I'm fighting for SSI and SSDI. I have a hearing on Monday and I hope it goes well. Pray for me, please. Will you please? It says Facebook groups, local groups, community-specific groups, and buy and sell groups. Introduction post as wholesome or possible of my photo. Google local service ads and Yelp can succeed from paying ads, especially commercial. Ad window cleaning if successful. Staff new second LLC and serve from 4 windows. Vendor or service channel they don't already have. So clean windows for businesses. This is proof of Social Security. I need to just put that in this binder over here. Or put it on it for now. Since that's soon, I might need that information during court. What is this? Oh, this is stuff that was in the car. Sticky notepad. I'll go through that later. I'm focused over here. Property Technica stuff. I gotta keep that because I have to prove. I need to contact the Department of Housing and show them that they did indeed discriminate and failure to accommodate. So I need all the proof from Property Technica because that's who I'm going to be suing. Once I send them proof, I got to write that down. Department of Housing or HUD, it was one of those 2. I'll put slash and send proof. Email. I should have an email from them to respond to. Drop off university books. Oh my gosh, I still haven't done that. I gotta do that before I get charged for those for good and I actually take my money. What is this receipt for? Library books. I always have overdue library books. retirement survivors and disability insurance. I appealed this, didn't I? Why didn't they ever contact me? I gotta make sure I hold on to that and contact them and make sure they got my appeal, because I applied for adult survivors disability because my dad had Social Security, and I can apply for disability through my dad's account, but they're trying to say that I worked substantially, and that's why I didn't qualify. But I'm trying to tell them I have an open case where I'm fighting that I didn't work substantially because I kept getting fired. I kept getting written up. I was working with DVR, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. I was working with the job coach that the job wouldn't even let the job coach go there. But I was working with the job coach, and I was working with a cognitive specialist, and sure enough, I never even worked substantially because they should have never said I worked substantially, because it was obvious I didn't. And you know what? That's why my case was remanded from the federal district courts back to the SSA, because whenever this goes out there with my cardboard, whenever the federal district courts saw that the SSA never took into account any of that information that I gave them, and I did give it to them, and they saw that, but the fact that they didn't take any of that into account whenever they were determining my benefit approval or denial, they remanded it back to the SSA, meaning they gave the case back to the SSA to look at it again, because they didn't take any of that into account the first time. They just ignored all that I told them. They ignored the fact that I had told them that I was working with DVR, was fired, was suspended without back pay. I only was reinstated my job because I had a union that we had a contract, and the union would fight for me. And that's the only reason why I was able to keep my job all that time, those years that I kept my job, is because of the union. If I hadn't had a union, I would have lost my job years prior, right within 6 months of getting the job. And Social Security requires that, well, not Social Security, but SSI and SSDI at the Social Security Administration, they require that you be working, if you work up to 6 months, but if you work 6 months or longer, that's substantial gainful activity if you're earning more than like $2,000 a month dollars. And if you work like a month or 2 months or even 5 months and you're fired or you're suspended or you're working with DVR and that's the only reason you're keeping your job, or if you're working with like any sort of supports, or if the job is supplementing your work, like for example, if I was working with accommodations, or if I was working but my supervisor said, she wasn't really earning the pay she was working, we were just giving her the pay as a supplement and letting her, not work as hard as ever, not as hard, but not work as sufficiently or efficiently as everybody else because of her disabilities, we gave her that leniency. And that would also make it to where you could probably qualify even if you were working, because they take that as like a subsidy. And they deduct, so if my supervisor was to say, yeah, she earned $22 an hour, but she was only working about 50% of what everybody else was working, and we gave her the other 50% as a supplement, then they would take 50% off of the $4,000 I made per month, for example. And they would say, well, then you only made $2,000 really. You only earned $2,000, whether you made $4,000 or not. We're only going to count $2,000. So that's pretty cool that they do that. And one of the things that the Social Security Administration did is they called me and they said, we called your old employer where we were trying to say that you had substantial gainful activity. Whenever you said that you didn't, we were trying to figure out at what percent were you working. Were you working at 25%, 50%, or were you earning 100%, doing as much as everybody else was doing, you know? And they said that they couldn't get a hold of my supervisors that I had back then that have reputable, you know, that are a good source to find out if you earned the amount of income that you were earning at 100%, or if you were working at 50 or 25%, but they were giving you the rest anyway. We couldn't get a hold of your supervisors to determine this. Well, that is obvious because my supervisors don't work there anymore. They just don't work there anymore, so they couldn't get a hold of them. Well, I gave the Social Security Administration administration person, I gave agent or whatever, I gave him my old supervisor's phone number that I had that I think still works because their Google picture still is active on their phone number. And I texted her, and although she did not text me back, I told her, Social Security is trying to approve or deny me. I need you to let them know at what percent I was working, given my effort or the output compared to what everybody else was giving us an output that didn't have disabilities. And she didn't text me back. The agent never called me back, so I'm hoping that was a good sign. I'm hoping he got a hold of her. But if he didn't get a hold of her, he may not have contacted me back anyway, because he had already been trying to contact me or contact them in the first place and told me that he couldn't get a hold of them. So that could... But I don't understand how they could deny me because they couldn't get a hold of a supervisor because they no longer work there, and my employer isn't giving information that they should be giving. That's not my fault. So if they deny me because of that, that's going to be really unfair, and I'm going to take that back to the federal district courts and let them know. They should already know that I didn't put out the regular output because I'm saying I have disabilities. And you know what? They had me go to this right here. They had me go to appointments, one with the psychiatric doctor and one with the physical doctor of the SSA's vendored or partnered doctors. And they had me do an assessment and an assessment. And that's supposed to tell them whether I have disabilities or not, too. Because they didn't believe my doctors in my records. They made me go to their doctor and get records from them. So hopefully that turns out good. And they said, you know, yeah, she's disabled and she has these disabilities. But if they aren't favorable, that's going to suck because they probably listen to them. That's probably why they do it, you know. They probably actually listen to those doctors because who knows why they would trust those doctors and not my doctors. Why they even needed those doctors whenever they had my doctors is beyond me, because I released my records to them. My doctors had to have released my records because I gave my doctors permission to release my records, and the Social Security Administration, I gave them permission to release my records, so they should have released my records. I gave it to both of them, an ROI to both of them. Both my doctors, all my doctors, I signed a release information for the Social Security Administration and the Social Security Administration. I filed an ROI so that for each of my doctors. So they should have released it. And if they didn't, and they deny me because of that, then that's bullcrap. And if they did release my records, why did they need me to go to their doctor? That's beyond me. I don't know why they would do that. Do y'all? Do y'all know why they would make me go to a Social Security doctor whenever I had records that should have been shared with them? Has anybody else dealt with Has anybody else dealt with the Social Security Administration and gotten SSI and SSDI approved? Did they look at your records, or did they have you go to their doctor as well? And if you went to their doctor as well, how did it go? Did you get found favorable? Did you have to have a hearing after that? And if so, how did it go? What did they ask you in the hearing? Because I'd like to know. There's not much information about this online. People that get approved for SSI and SSDI, it's like y'all are afraid to lose it. And that's why y'all don't share information.
I have shown you the guy that is a disability lawyer that tells you everything.
Well, what's his name? You've showed me, but what's his name? I couldn't see it. It's on your TV and you have the remote. Apparently there's a disability lawyer that talks about it online. But that's still not somebody with lived experience unless he has lived experience. Oh, I needed that. That's a good tip. I was going to write about that. I'm going to put this back over here. Because I was going to make a video based off of that content right there. But I have to be careful because it's copyright protected. Apply remote work. Oh, yeah. For there. If possible, anyway. Are you tired?
No, come here.
Oh, I'm coming. You just write it down. I gotta bring
I gotta bring a sticky note.